Before we kick off this week's episode, y'all, I wanted to give you a little sneak peek at the debut track coming out from Chords of Eve that's been getting us just a ton of attention on everything. So I'll also give you the pre-save link for Spotify. If you want to go ahead and save it to your stuff, it's free. Just click some buttons, check it out. It also has Apple and Deezer in there if you want to save on that, if that's your preferred thing. So I hope you all enjoy this as much as we enjoy making it. And dig this track, y'all. Check it out.
You love the world as it tears you apart. And feel the sunshine. We're gonna get and feel the sunshine.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you how busy this week's been, and in the best possible way, because we've had so many things going on here at Sky Titan. I mean, there's been interviews and blogs and reviews, and so check this out. We've been on Bombshell Radio, we've been on the Songwriter Show podcast, we've been on the Mike Wagner Show, had interviews at Vents magazines with Music Existence, been reviewed by BeachSloth, by Jamsphere, by Indie Pulse, even been on the European Music Network. We're just getting so much done, and I'll make sure I give a special shout out to Mike over at MTS, who has been just doing stellar things with PR for us. It's been working out so well. So what I want to do in this episode is, it was kind of inspired by one of the podcast interviews that we did. It was done, over Skype, and I feel like a fool in this. I didn't even realize that you can do live audience interaction over Skype on radio shows. So people were kind of sending in questions as we were doing this interview and just genuinely taking part in this entire thing, and it was actually kind of cool. So what I decided to do was, I just wanted to write down the questions and kind of answer them on the vlog here for anyone who's maybe kind of curious about it, or maybe, I don't know, to inspire some questions to be asked in the comments, or, send me a message or find something on Facebook. Like, I always want to know what's going on with people and what they're thinking of things, and I always want to help answer questions. So if something's on your mind, hit me up. But you know what? I think we gotta do a little change of scenery here, because it's too nice of a day outside. We gotta get outside for a minute, and we're gonna continue this. So. Broadway stuff, Borderlands 3 socks. In case you were just like, what was that weird talking to you? Borderlands. Where you going, Junks? Alright. Looks good. We're gonna just get that out of the way for now. The chicken clan's over here, hanging out doing the bird stuff. So let's see. These are some of the questions that came up, and yeah, we're just gonna answer a couple of these. Q&A day. That's something vloggers do, right? That's a thing, normal thing, regular thing. Could be a thing. Chicken's got some questions here too. Okay, so revisiting the questions. The very first one that we got during the interview was from a lady named Jenna, who was asking about the lyrics and songs, and she goes, do you find that people often understand your meaning? And I think for the most part, yes. It kind of depends on the projects you're looking at here, but I feel like for Strings of Atlas, it's a fairly direct message, but I guess it does have a bit more of an abstract feel to it. A lot of times when I write the music for Strings of Atlas, it tends to be a bit more poetic and a bit more exaggerated and kind of not so blunt as to hit you over the head with it, but kind of, I don't even know what I want to say, make it like a make it more of a jam and less of a personal statement that this is something that this song represents this, and this is what it has to be. Where I feel like that definitely has a place in some music. In Strings of Atlas, it tends to be a bit more fluid with it. So, you know, and then you look at things like Chords of Eve, the new project coming out, and that one's a lot more direct in, this is the message of it, this is what we're trying to convey, and for people who feel this way, we want to connect with y'all in this way. So Beth asked, what brought you in the direction you're at now? I think this is when we're talking about Sky Titan itself and the new projects, and chickens, y'all are being crazy. Like they don't get enough attention. They got episodes dedicated to them. What brought you in that direction? I feel like it's always been the kind of dream of mine. Back when I was like 20, I think, I really wanted to get to a point where I was creating a record label and being able to not only put out my own things, but just house a bunch of different artists and get a big collaboration team. You know, and when I started NMSU and when I went to UTEP, I focused on business because I felt like I already knew music pretty well, but I did not know the business side of things. And that was what I really wanted to do, was learn how to effectively run a label, you know, not just be all hopes and dreams about everything. So to say, you know, what brought me in this direction is, I guess it was kind of always headed this direction. It was just a matter of how long. And I really got kind of just tangled up in doing all the stuff that comes with being in a band. You know, you're writing the music, you're booking the venues, you're doing these tours, you're pushing merch, you're always posting things and asking people to buy your mixtape, check out my CD and all this. And it's a lot of work. And it's a lot of work when you have 4 or 5 people. It's an insane amount when you got 1 or 2. So I think it was kind of, business side got set in the back burner a bit, and it was all the focus in what the music was and getting it out there. Play every show, get out there, get exposure. And when you do that for a decade, it'll start to get kind of, it can wear you down. It can definitely grind you down, especially being on the road a lot. Sleeping in cars or hotels or couch surfing and everything, going back and forth fighting with venues about what they said they were going to pay you, what they actually pay you. After a while, you get kind of tired with it. And you look for a change. Some people just burn out and stop completely. But I think getting to that point of where I realized I needed to have a change, that something needed to change, that's where Sky Titan came in. I kind of revisited the idea of the label, and except this time, I did it having a decade of experience in the music industry behind me, which I think made a huge difference. And because of that, I also got exposed to a variety, like so many more bands and artists and singers and everything out there that also kind of started to influence the music and kind of give me a broader perspective, which is why we have so many different sounds on Sky Titan. You know, there's hip hop under one, there's trip hop coming on the other, there's pop music, there's rock music, because, you know, there's just good music and bad music. Yes, I totally stole that line from, you probably haven't seen this vlog yet because it's not even done, but you're going to recognize that line in a future vlog. You know, but it's true though. It's true. Like, after a while you realize if you're going to grow as a musician, you got to appreciate different types of music. I mean, yeah, it's like that with anything in life. Also, I'm going to check this camera again because I feel like I'm leaning weird a lot. Hold on. Alright, so here was a good one. This was Corey asking, why does that make you a nerd? And the reason he was asking this is because when we were doing the interview, I was asked how was I in high school? And my response was, nerdy. Like, that's how I was, and it's kind of how I am now. You know, I like anime, I like video games. Yeah, do I spend time at, like, the arcade? Of course, it's great. And I feel like, you know, there's nothing wrong with kind of having that nerdy streak to you. It makes you interesting. Plus, when you classify it as nerdy, it used to be a bad thing, but I feel like almost now people wear it as like a badge of honor. Like, they want to be nerdy. If they're, you know, everyone wants to play Dungeons and Dragons and be cool with all the tech stuff. And I don't play Dungeons and Dragons, by the way. I will say I'm not quite that level of nerd, or that direction, maybe. I mean, it's cool, I guess, kind of. I'm more a video game guy, honestly. I am well aware of the fact that when I was in high school and people were planning senior ditch days and parties and things, that my buddies were figuring out, alright, what are we gonna do? We're gonna play Final Fantasy VIII from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. and just eat Cheetos and drink Mountain Dew all day. Like, that was fine. That was cool. Still fun. But still, I don't think I can wake up at 5 a.m. anymore. There's no reason. No wish to wake up at 5 a.m. 5 a.m.'s terrible. When your time's limited, you do what you gotta do. So, was nerdy back then? Still nerdy now? It's alright. I'm alright with that. So we were listening to, debuted a little chunk of the new Chords of Eve track for Brightside, and we were asked, would you say this is a feel-good song? I feel like it's a bit of a slippery slope being the musician saying whether or not your song is a feel-good song. It is definitely meant to inspire a good feeling, but I also don't want to tell people this is how you should feel when you hear it. Let everyone kind of feel the way they want and get what they want from the music rather than have you tell them. It's kind of like reading a book, you know, no one's gonna, having someone specifically tell you what a character looks like versus giving you a little bit of leeway, and you take what they're doing and you kind of build your own version of this person. I feel like that's kind of how it is in music too. Like, we can give you, the music can be put out and give you a direction and give you, of course, like a feel. You know, if you got a death metal track playing, it's probably not about like unicorns and rainbows. I mean, sometimes it is, 'cause death metal gets crazy, but it's nice to let the listener really kind of paint their own picture, being inspired by what they're getting from you. And that's kind of how I feel about that. Yes, I would like it to be a feel-good song. I'd like all the songs to make people feel good. But sometimes it makes you feel more energy, sometimes it makes you feel depressed about things, sometimes it just makes you feel a little angry. It's, you know, all that stuff's okay. It's all good to feel it. So this question came from Wayne, and this actually was, as we transitioned the interview, it wasn't actually going to me, but I feel like it's a fun one to answer anyway. It was, do you feel like this has been a passion with you all of your life? Yes. Music, I feel like I'm always hearing music in my head for everything. There's always something going on in there with the way the rain hits the car roof, the way the chickens won't shut the hell up, the way, you know, just everything around you is always making some sort of rhythm with the planet. It's always been a struggle in me trying to capture something I'm hearing at the moment and create something out of it. As a creator, you're always wanting to do that. And I feel like that has always been a passion of mine, is always to create something. Create something mainly in music and also in entertainment, and just kind of, you know, with the wrestling stuff or with any of the short films and things back in the day, or like the movie scoring, things like that. I feel like that sort of stuff is always what gets you out of bed in the morning and everything. The idea of it, that's what's exciting, is going out there and making something that did not exist before. That was how one of the podcast interviews went, and it was, you know, a ton of fun. I think I've got 3 more next week that I'm doing. I'm on the Josie Show coming out of Tennessee, Beyond Pop Rocks, that's another one coming up. Got a couple more magazines doing interviews, and it's been a really great time for Sky Titan. There's also a little community project we're working on here in Austin, where I can't give any details yet. I can't give any details because it's not finished, but when it is, you know it's gonna be a vlog. It might even be 2 vlogs. I don't know. We'll see. It's exciting times. Other than that, you know, we've got the match coming up. We've got some PWR on March 14th. So if you haven't come out there and said what's up, come on out. Say hello. Film some matches. We'll be doing some crazy stuff as usual. And a bunch of good people out there. All right. I'm out.